went in for a routine cleaning at Riverside Family Dental in Springfield, Missouri on October 3rd, 2024. 6 days later, Dr. Patel called me at 8:47 in the morning and asked if I could come back in. He didn't say why. He just asked if I was eating okay. I said I was eating fine. He paused for a long time. Then he said, "Can you come in today? Not tomorrow, today. I'm writing this from a hotel room in Branson because I cannot go back to my apartment. My dental records from last month show a normal adult set, 32 teeth, 2 wisdom teeth removed at 19, 1 crown on the lower left second molar from a bike accident in 2017. The X-ray from Tuesday shows something else. Dr. Patel does not have a word for what it shows, neither do the 2 specialists he sent the images to. One of them stopped answering his email. I need to tell this in the order it happened. If I jump ahead, none of it will make sense. The cleaning on October 3rd was normal. Bite-chewing X-rays, the little plastic bite blocks, the lead apron. The hygienist was a woman named Carla who I'd seen for 3 years. She asked about my dog. I told her my dog had died in August. She apologized, and then she didn't talk for the rest of the cleaning, which I appreciated. I was 31 years old. I worked from home as a freelance editor. I lived alone in a 1-bedroom off Glenstone Avenue. That was the last normal day I can point to. The first thing I noticed was on October 7th. I was eating a turkey sandwich, and I bit down wrong, and something cracked. Not a tooth. Something inside a tooth. It felt like biting into a piece of gravel hidden in soft bread. I went to the bathroom mirror and opened my mouth wide, and I could not see anything wrong. I ran my tongue along my teeth. Everything felt the same. Smooth, familiar, but I'd heard it, I'd felt it. Something had moved. That night I had a dream about chewing, just chewing, nothing else. I woke up with my jaw aching like I'd been clenching for hours. October 8th, my gums bled when I brushed. Not a normal spot of pink in the sink. A real amount. I rinsed 3 times and the water still came out red. I called Riverside Dental and they got me in the next morning. That was when Dr. Patel took the new X-rays. He didn't show them to me that day. He said the imaging system was acting up and he wanted to rerun them later in the week. He looked into my mouth with a little mirror and the light, and he was quiet for a long time. Then he said, my gums looked irritated, and he gave me a prescription rinse and told me to come back in a week. I drove home. My jaw hurt. I ate a bowl of plain rice for dinner because anything else felt like too much work to chew. I want to tell you about the dog now because it matters. My dog was named Otis. He was a 9-year-old beagle mix I'd adopted from a shelter in Joplin when I moved to Missouri after my divorce. He died in August from a tumor on his spleen that we didn't catch until it had already burst. The vet was kind. She let me hold him while it happened. I drove home with the empty leash on the passenger seat, and I sat in the parking lot of my apartment building for 40 minutes before I could go upstairs. I bring him up because of what happened on October 10th. I was brushing my teeth at the bathroom sink, and I felt something move. Not crack. Move. Like a tooth had shifted a millimeter to the left under my gum. I froze. I held the toothbrush in the air. I ran my tongue across my upper molars, and they all felt right. Same shape, same spacing, same crown on the lower left, but I had felt it. I looked into the mirror, and for 1 second, just one, I thought I saw a second row of teeth behind the first. Tiny, pointed. Wrong. I blinked, and they were gone. I told myself I hadn't slept well. I told myself I was anxious about the cleaning. I told myself the bathroom light was bad. I went to bed and I did not brush my teeth again that night. October 12th. Dr. Patel called and told me to come in. He sounded like a man who had been awake for a long time. I drove to the office and the waiting room was empty. The receptionist did not make eye contact with me. Carla was not there. Dr. Patel took me to a back room I'd never been in before. There was a computer monitor, and the 2 X-rays were on the screen side by side. He pointed to the one on the left. October 3rd, he said, "This is you. This is a normal adult dentition." He pointed to the one on the right, October 9th. He said, "I do not know what this is." I looked at the screen. I am not a dentist. I do not know how to read an X-ray. But even I could see that the second image was wrong. The molars at the back of my jaw were not the right shape. They were longer than they should have been. They came to points. There were more of them than there should have been. I counted on the screen, and I counted with my tongue inside my own mouth at the same time, and the numbers did not match. I said, "How many teeth do I have?" He said, "I want to take a new set today. I want to see if it matches the one from Wednesday, or if it has changed again." He took the new X-rays. We sat in the back room while the computer processed them. He did not make small talk. He looked at the wall. When the images loaded, he turned the monitor so I could see. The new molars were longer than the ones from Wednesday. 3 days had passed. They were longer. I asked him what was happening to me. He said he was sending the images to a specialist at the University of Missouri, Kansas City School of Dentistry. He said he had also sent the Wednesday images to a forensic odontologist in St. Louis. He said the forensic odontologist had emailed back at 2 in the morning asking where the patient was right now and whether the patient was alive. He said the word patient when he meant me. He had been my dentist for 3 years. I drove home. I sat in my car in the apartment parking lot for a long time. I ran my tongue along my back teeth. They felt the same as they always had. Smooth, familiar, the same shape I had felt every day of my life. I do not understand how something can look so different on a screen and feel so normal inside my own mouth. I want to be clear. I have not seen the second row of teeth in the mirror since October 10th. I have looked with my phone flashlight angled into the back of my throat. I have looked with my mouth pulled open so wide it hurt. There is nothing there. My teeth look like my teeth, but the X-rays do not lie, and the X-rays keep changing. October 14th, I could not sleep. I drove to a 24-hour Walgreens at 3 in the morning to buy melatonin, and I caught my reflection in the cooler door in the back of the store. My mouth was closed, my face was tired, nothing was wrong. I stood there for a long time, and I made myself smile at the reflection just to see my teeth, and they looked like my teeth, and I drove home, and I did not sleep anyway. October 15th, I started keeping a list of what I had eaten, and how it had felt. I do not know why. I think I needed something to write down so I could feel like I was paying attention. Tuesday, soft scrambled eggs, no pain. Wednesday, oatmeal, no pain. Thursday, a banana, normal. Friday, I tried a piece of toast and something at the back of my mouth tore the bread differently than I expected. The bite mark in the slice was not the shape of a human bite. I threw the toast in the trash and I covered it with a paper towel and I did not look at it again. October 17th, the University of Missouri specialist called. Her name was Dr. Yoonji Kim, and she asked if I would consent to come to Kansas City for in-person imaging, she said. The images Dr. Patel had sent her were, quote, unusual, unquote, and she wanted to verify them with her own equipment. I said yes. I did not have anyone else to ask. My parents lived in Oregon. I had not spoken to my brother in 2 years. I drove to Kansas City on the 18th. Dr. Kim was younger than I expected. She had short black hair and small wire glasses, and she did not smile when she shook my hand. She took the new images herself. 3 different angles with the bite block and the lead apron and the little plastic film. She left the room to develop them. She came back 20 minutes later, and she had brought another person with her, an older man in a white coat. He introduced himself as a professor of dental anatomy. He asked if he could examine my mouth manually. I let him. He spent a long time with the little mirror and the light. He had me bite down on a soft impression tray. He had me open as wide as I could. He looked at the impression for a long time after I'd bitten it. Then he asked me a question I did not understand at first. He said, "When you eat, does it feel like the food is being processed differently than it used to be?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Does the food break down faster? Does it require fewer chews? Does meat in particular feel softer to you than you remember?" I sat with the question. I thought about the last 6 days. I thought about how I had stopped putting the chicken back in the microwave because it always seemed warm enough already. I thought about how I had not really needed to cut up the steak I'd made on Sunday before swallowing it. I had assumed I was just hungry. I said yes. He nodded. He did not say anything else. He left the room, and Dr. Kim came back in a few minutes later. Her face had changed. She was professional, but her eyes were not. She told me the new x-rays showed further progression. She used that word, progression. She told me the molars in the most recent image were no longer consistent with any known human dentition. She told me they were closer to something carnassial. I did not know the word. She explained it gently. Carnassial teeth are the shearing teeth in carnivores, wolves, big cats, bears. She asked if I had any history of being bitten by an animal. I said no. She asked if I had been in close contact with an unusual animal in the last 6 months. I started to say no. Then I stopped. I thought about Otis. I thought about the night in August when I had sat on the bathroom floor with him in my lap, and he had been panting hard and his gums had been pale, and I had let him lick my face because I did not want him to be alone. I thought about how he had bitten me. Not hard, not on purpose. A small reflex bite on the inside of my lower lip when his body had spasmed near the end. I had bled a little. I had not even thought about it. He had died 20 minutes later, and I had not thought about the bite again until that moment in the office in Kansas City. I told Dr. Kim about it. She wrote it down. She did not look up while she wrote. She asked me to wait while she made a phone call. I sat in the exam chair for 40 minutes. I could hear her voice in the next room, but I could not make out the words. At one point, I heard her say a phrase that sounded like genetic transmission, and at another point, I heard her say a word that sounded like vector. I do not know if I heard those words correctly. I was very tired. She came back. She sat down across from me. She said she wanted me to be admitted overnight at the University Medical Center for observation and further testing. She said this with the calm voice of a person who has been trained to deliver bad news without showing it. I asked if I could think about it. She said yes, but quietly. And she gave me her direct number, and she asked me to call her before midnight either way. I drove back toward Springfield. Halfway there, I stopped at a Love's truck stop off I-44 near Lebanon, and I sat in the parking lot and I cried for a long time. Then I went inside and I bought a bag of beef jerky because I had not eaten since the morning, and I sat in my car and I ate the entire bag, and I did not have to chew it the way I used to. The pieces of dried meat came apart in my mouth like they had been waiting to. I did not call Dr. back that night. I drove past my apartment. I did not stop. I kept driving until I reached a chain hotel in Branson, and I paid in cash, and I checked in under my middle name. I'm writing this from that hotel room. The room number is 214. The bedspread is brown. The window faces the parking lot. There is a Cracker Barrel across the lot, and the smell of it has been making my mouth water for 2 hours. I keep running my tongue along my back teeth. They feel the same. They feel exactly the same as they have always felt. Smooth, familiar, the shape I have known my entire life. But this morning I tried to bite my own thumb. Just gently, just to test. I bit down with my back molars on the soft pad of my thumb the way you might bite down on a pencil. I expected the dull pressure of a normal human bite. The skin broke immediately. There was no pressure. There was just a clean small cut, the way a knife would do it. I'm writing this down because I want there to be a record. I do not know if I am still the person who walked into Riverside Family Dental on October 3rd. I look like her. My voice sounds like hers. My memories are hers. But something has been doing something to me from the inside for 40 days now, and the part of me that loved Otis enough to let him bite me on the worst night of his life is the part of me that opened a door I did not know existed. It is almost dark outside. The Cracker Barrel sign just turned on. I can see it from the window. I can see the families going in. I can see a teenage girl carrying a small white dog in her arms toward a parked Subaru. The dog is panting. I'm watching the dog. I'm still watching the dog. I should not be watching the dog this long. I'm going to put down the phone now. I'm going to brush my teeth, the way I have brushed them every night for 31 years. The toothbrush will move along the smooth, familiar shapes that have always been there. The mirror will show me my own face. My mouth will close around the bristles, and everything will look exactly the way it has always looked. I'm still going to keep the x-rays. I'm going to keep them on my phone, all of them in order, by date. I want to know how fast it is moving. I want to know what it will look like next week. I want to know if there will be a week after that. I called Dr. Kim back an hour ago. I told her I was not coming in. I told her I was sorry. She did not try to talk me out of it. She asked me one last question before she hung up. She asked me where I had buried Otis. I told her I had not buried him. I told her the vet had handled the cremation. I told her I had picked up the small wooden box of ashes 2 weeks later, and I had not opened it. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, very softly, "Open it tonight. Just so you know, I have the box on the desk next to me. It is not heavy. The latch is brass. I have not opened it yet. I am going to open it after I post this. I already know what is going to be inside. It is going to be empty.